What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so we're, a couple of days into this Gaza ceasefire, this Israel-Gaza ceasefire situation. And folks, like, I've got a really, really big question for a lot of the defenders of Gaza, of Palestine, and all these people, right? I've got a big question coming up. But first, Donald Trump says that if Hamas does not disarm, we will disarm you, and quickly, folks. I've got a fascinating news article coming up, and I've got a very big question to pose, and it's going to come here in a minute on this news article. Check this out, y'all. Trump calls for Hamas to disarm as fighters tighten grip in Gaza, clouding future of ceasefire. This is a horrific, to be honest with you, a graphic warning right here. This is quite horrific. Let's get into this because I really want to poll the audience and find out from you guys. Anybody out there that actually is on the side of Palestine, I've got a genuine question for you guys. Despite endorsing Hamas's killing members of other gangs as it reasserts its grip on security, President Donald Trump also called for the Palestinian militant group to be disarmed. Now, I'm not sure what the hell they're alluding to right there, what they're intimating about. What do you mean? Endorsing Hamas's killing members of other gangs? You mean other clans? They're calling Hamas a gang? There's other clans. There's that's what Palestine is a group of different clans. It's different families or whatever. Slightly different ideologies. That's all Palestine is, essentially. And Hamas just so happens to be the most violent of those. It seems like, and the biggest, I guess. But sorry, that's just an aside. I just don't understand. Of course, this is coming from the CBC, so. On Monday, Hamas freed the last living Israeli hostages from Gaza, and Israel sent home busloads of Palestinian detainees under a ceasefire deal brokered by Trump. But Hamas has not publicly committed to downing its weapons. That's right. If they don't disarm, we will disarm them, and it will happen quickly and perhaps violently, Trump said during a meeting at the White House with Argentine President Javier Milei. Afuera, that guy. Trump said he communicated this to Hamas and they had agreed to disarm, as his 20-point peace proposal stated. The outlook for Trump's peace plan has darkened since he returned from a visit to Israel and Egypt on Monday. Israel restricted aid into Gaza and kept the enclave's border shut on Tuesday, while re-emergent Hamas fighters demonstrated their grip by executing men in the streets. Check this out. In a stark assertion of the group's return, fighters executed men they accused of collaborating with Israeli forces. In one video circulated late Monday, Hamas fighters dragged 7 men into a circle of people in Gaza City, forced them to their knees, and shot them from behind, folks. So this is the question that I pose to a lot of you people that are standing up for the Palestinians. Look, I kind of stand up for them too, right? Like Israel took it way too far. They took it way too far, but I'm still on the side of Israel on this one because reasons, right? I'll lay that out later. But the question that I have for you guys, right? All right, so you're constantly yelling genocide. Oh, Israel is committing a genocide here. And then as soon as Israel's, the IDF, essentially, they pull back, Hamas comes out and starts doing the exact same thing. Are you kidding me with this? How can anybody stand up for these people? I don't get it. I don't understand all those college protests that were pro-Hamas. And don't let the people lie to you, folks. Palestinians are Hamas. As a matter of fact, not all, obviously. Okay, so Israel was keeping Hamas in check. Yes, they were killing a lot of civilians, and I call that very, very bad. But look, you've got occupation, right? Okay, let's say they get rid of Hamas, but decide to fully occupy that area. Is that better than not getting rid of Hamas and pulling back? Because now anybody that took food aid from Israel, collaborating with them, they're going to get rounded up, put on their knees, and taken out of the game. Like, this situation is so bad, y'all. It really is. Like I'm not going to sit here and praise Israel. Not in the least. Absolutely. I'm not that guy, right? I'm not that pro anything. When we see so much death and destruction going on, it blows my mind, right? But on the other hand, we understand why. We completely understand why. Israel were aiming their bullets at Hamas and just so happened to kill Palestinians, innocent civilians, right? But how do we discern between innocent civilian and a Hamas fighter? Do we know that all of those, 60,000, do we know that they were all civilians? Right? Now, I understand what you're saying. Even one is too many. I get it. You got proportionality and you've got collateral damage. I understand that. And what's kind of disgusting a little bit, and it's disappointing that these people actually have acceptable losses when it comes to collateral damage, if you will. I don't think that's very good at all. But look, is that better? I really don't know. That's the question I got for you guys. Like, how do we deal with this? Because if we're going to take the Palestinians out of the frying pan and put them over a fire, what good are we doing here? What good is this ceasefire if Hamas is going to go and start rounding up Palestinians? But at that point, how are we going to know? How are we going to know how many are killed off? If Hamas is just going to go take out the journalist that is reporting on how many Palestinians were killed by Hamas. How do we know any of these things, folks? Hamas must be rooted out. Look, I really don't know if this ceasefire is a good deal. I really don't. I mean, look, I'll give Trump some praise for actually getting them to agree to something. But once again, if what Hamas is doing, if Donald Trump can't get them to lay down their arms, what good are we doing here? Because now it's just going to be Hamas taking out Palestinians instead of the IDF, which that's good for Israel, to be honest. But it's not good for the Palestinian people. None of this is good. But I also have another question for you guys. What about all the Christians that are getting slaughtered in Nigeria? Like, that's a question. What about that? They're getting slaughtered all over the place in Nigeria. What about those situations? What about South Africa? Do we not care about that? Do we not care about that at all? What about the Uyghur Muslims in China? Do we not care about these situations? It's fascinating, Let's keep going before I get mad. A Hamas source confirmed to Reuters that the event happened. The location was also verified through satellite images. Gaza residents said fighters were increasingly visible on Tuesday, deploying along routes needed for aid deliveries. Palestinian security sources say dozens of people have been killed in clashes between Hamas fighters and rivals in recent days. Some Palestinians in Gaza condemned the public executions, while others had mixed feelings. Oh, you're not going to condemn Hamas publicly executing people for collaborating with Israel? Once again, folks, and we felt sorry for those people. Like, sure, there are some innocent civilians, but I imagine the vast majority of those, like all the children, yes, they're innocent for the most part, right? Except for the ones that are Hamas, because they strap bombs to their children and send them toward IDF, wherever the IDF is. It's insane. If those people have committed crimes and they are traitors, then they deserve to be executed. Atta Kaloub, 33, told CBC News freelance videographer Mohammed El Saif. But if we are talking about misdemeanors, then they should be granted clemency. People have been through a lot. Have mercy on them. Anwar al-Kahouk, I don't know if that's how that's pronounced, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it, says he hasn't felt safe in Gaza since the war broke out, whether or not Hamas is controlling the territory. You slept in your tents, but don't feel safe. People have changed. People are stealing. He said, the strong prey on the weak. People have changed. Things are not the same anymore. Hamas's resumption of power in Gaza has continued. And continued flashes of violence underscore the daunting hurdles facing efforts to move Trump's ceasefire plan toward a longer-term resolution of the conflict. While the U.S. president proclaimed the historic dawn of a new Middle East to Israel's parliament on Monday, some of the most difficult elements of his plan have yet to be negotiated to resolve issues that wrecked previous efforts to end the war. Israeli forces remain entrenched across much of Gaza after their partial pullback inside the tiny, crowded territory. Promised increases in aid deliveries have not yet materialized for a population of 2.2 million people, with many facing famine. A summit co-hosted by Trump in Egypt on Monday ended with no public announcement of major progress toward establishing an international military force for Gaza or a new governing body. The remains of at least 23 dead hostages remain in Gaza. No tolerance for violations, Hamas sources. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has consistently maintained the war cannot end until Hamas gives up its weapons and ceases to control Gaza, a demand the fighters have rejected, torpedoing all previous peace efforts. When Hamas fighters appeared in the streets during the last ceasefire in March, Israel abandoned the truce and called off the negotiations on an end to the war. But Trump, having announced the war is now over, said on Monday that Hamas still had a temporary green light to keep order. They do not want to stop the problems, and they've been open about it, and we gave them approval for a period of time, he said. Hamas sources told Reuters on Monday the group would tolerate no more violations of order in Gaza and would target collaborators, armed looters, and drug dealers. That's fascinating, y'all. That's fascinating. So they go right from the frying pan right back into the fire, huh? Something needs to happen right here, because this is an untenable situation, folks. Right? They have just gotten over a 2-year war where Israel was bombing the crap out of everything, right? Taking out way too many civilians. Then they're going to end this. They're going to pull back a little bit. Hamas is going to come out of the tunnels and then start taking people out that claimed, that they claim are collaborators. What does that even mean? What entails being a collaborator to you, right? Getting food aid? Does that? Because that's the rumors on the ground that I've heard. I'm not going to report on those. I'm just going to say that they're rumors with air quotes because we don't know if that's true or not. We have no idea. And I usually don't report things that I don't believe are absolutely true. But it's fascinating, y'all. It's fascinating. They go from the frying pan into the fire. So what if they collaborated with Israel? Right? Hamas needs to be taken out. Don't you see what you're doing? Who cares if they collaborated with you guys? You guys conducted an atrocity that started a 2-year war that oversaw 60,000, quote unquote, 60,000 innocent civilians, supposedly. But regardless of that, what is it? Almost 30,000 children? Yeah, now that one right there, look, I understand. Children, yeah, they can be weaponized, but it's still really not their fault. They don't really know any better. You can strap bombs to a child and send him toward the IDF, but that doesn't mean that the child is guilty of any, right? Because the child doesn't know any better. When you strap bombs to a 9-year-old, that's just sick and disgusting. And anybody that allows for anything like that to take place, they deserve to lose their right to life, to be honest with you.
I really don't know. This is all just insanity to me, and I could go on forever, but I'm kind of running long on this one. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it right here because this is a wild situation, y'all. Like kind of hats off to Trump to getting these two different, aggrieved parties, if you will, to agree to something, but agree to what?
That's what I would like to know. Agreed to what? But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. I imagine you guys got your opinions. And like I said, y'all let me know. Like, I mean, from the frying pan into the fire, for real. Like, that's exactly what it is here. It's truly insane. But y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. Click that join button if you don't mind. I sure would appreciate that. Sign up, become a member. That's the best way to help this channel expand and grow. So y'all do all that for me. And remember that God has a plan for everybody. You may not know what that plan is. You may not even like that plan, but it's there and it's his and it's for you. And he loves each and every one of you out there. So y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.